And 1, 2, 3.
Bunnell has a strong reputation, not only in the town of Stratford, but in the SWC and the state of Connecticut. And one of the pillars of our schools is the music and theater arts program.
I didn't really know about the town's reputation for music until I was in like 5th or 6th grade because, you know, the marching band travels to the elementary schools and the middle schools. And I think that was the earliest I could remember the band coming and thinking like, oh, this is something cool. This is something that I could be a part of.
Music is one of those rare things where you can be expressive, but you also have to be very technically proficient. And it's one of those things that can transport you someplace else while you're performing it or while you're listening to it.
Everyone likes listening to music, so the fact that I could make it and you know, hear it whenever I wanted to, and I could play whatever I wanted to whenever I wanted, was pretty, it was pretty fun, it was pretty powerful.
For example, if you listen to Mozart, you're hearing the exact same acoustical phenomenon that the people in the 1700s heard. It's recreated exactly, unlike a painting, which once it's painted, that's it. The music, it just comes to life every time you do it.
And you know, it was always cool to be able to play like a musical instrument. You can make your own thing out of it. You could do almost anything. Like, you're not restricted by it, so you have a lot of options, and I really like that.
Music is a great outlet because it lets you emotionally escape. Beethoven used to say, if you're a musician, you don't need drugs or illegal substances because you can create your own alternate reality. You know, you can escape reality using music. You don't need a substance to do it. And you know, so for anybody who's dealing with adversity or anybody who's dealing with stress, music is one of the greatest things in the world to help you that.
It was just something that I could do for myself and not have to use to impress other people. Like a lot of young people in America and like everywhere, my parents were separated when I was really young, so I didn't really have to deal with the whole my parents got divorced thing. But I did have to deal with growing up with two very different families. And on one hand, I had my mom, who I didn't live with, that she was very relaxed, and we had a very different way of living than when I came home and lived with my dad for the week. It was a whole thing, and I kind of grew up not really knowing who I was because I was constantly had a repertoire of different personalities to put on and act a certain way. So by the time you get to middle school and you're kind of that's when you're really figuring out who you are, and that's when the identity crises come in. And I kind of was in middle school, and it was the worst part of my life in family matters, where people were just very, a lot to deal with at home and a lot to deal with at school. I didn't really know who I was. And you know, coming into band and having a kind of a set of people who really knew who they were and would accept you for almost anyone you were, you know, they would take you in with open arms. Having that to kind of hyper fixate all of my attention on to no, I do have a very solid family here, and while I'm working on my family at home, and while we were all working so hard to get things back to normal, it was nice to have another group to feel comfortable with.
When you have to perform something, a piece of music with other people, and everybody relies on, you know, playing off each other, but you're not allowed to talk. You have to do it innately almost, and you have to communicate using your eyes and your emotions. It's a great way to connect a lot of things.
I say every day to the other band kids, you are my favorite part about this. This is the reason I do this. Yeah, sure, I love being able to go out in the field and play the song that I play and for it to sound great and for it all to come together. But I do love being able to do it with other people, and that's the best part, is being able to teach someone and having them teach me, and then kind of working together to put on something so beautiful and something that we all love. It's so powerful.
To be able to overcome such adversity and still be such a strong student leader in our school community really is astounding.
She does everything. She's here before anybody else shows up. She's the last one to leave, and she helps all the younger kids with their music. It's wonderful having her here. I don't know what I'm going to do next year.
It's not just me, you know, it's me and 5 other people who are on top, leadership-wise, and then there's everyone else who's helping out in the band. So it's really nice to have them behind me and have them get me here, because there was no way that I would have been here 5 years ago when I first started. So big thank you to them.